It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Jamie is a leading Tampa Bay real estate agent and featured on the Wall Street Journal's list of top 100 real estate agents in the nation. Jamie invites you to list your home with him today and learn more at tampabayradio.com. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Maloney.
That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Along the returning lovely Stella Giudicelli with me this morning. Stella, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tampa Bay. I'm so happy to be here.
Stella was dancing a little jig to my intro music, and
I think we need a choreography for your.
I don't think so. We'll stay away from that. Also joined in studio by Josh Fosda, running the live video stream over at Tampa Bay Radio.
More importantly, we're joined in studio by Stella Giudicelli.
Stella Giudicelli. I'm sure
Just
you have
saying.
many
Everyone's
derivatives.
been trained.
Many derivatives of that name, but Giudicelli, a very beautiful French name, and we welcome her back in studio. She's also a real estate agent alongside myself over at Coldwell Banker. Today's show, good show planned as always. Crystal Coachman Giardina, founder and CEO of CKG Events, is going to be joining us at the 7:30 spot. But up first, we have returning guest to the program, Tony Michaelidas. He is basically a music industry insider, speaker, and author, and returning guest to the program, as I mentioned. Tony, welcome back to the program today.
Good morning, all.
So, since you've been with us the last time, tell us a little bit about what's going on. You've worked with so many bands. I mean, you've worked with David Bowie, U2, REM, Genesis, Bob Marley. I mean, the list goes on. And you shared with us some amazing stories of some of the bands that you worked with last time. But since you were with us last, tell us a little bit about what you've been going on.
Well, I've been going out doing a bit of speaking gigs and stuff to really kind of it's been a weird year because with people like Bowie and Prince dying, you kind of go out for all the wrong reasons. I mean, I'm kind of on this pilgrimage to keep their names alive. Because
2016 has been a rough year for our artists.
It's been unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you worked closely with David Bowie, and I remember when he passed, I saw you making the rounds, saw you on Bay News 9 and a number of different outlets. But tell me just like your experience with David Bowie, for instance, and what he meant to you as an artist.
Well, David Bowie is kind of the story of my life because I've got some great stories before the music industry about David Bowie, whereas... when I was 18, I went to this college, this further education college, which is a place in the UK for people who are kind of done with school, but they're not quite ready for work. So you spend a couple of years trying to find out what you want to do. So I did a course in business studies, which is kind of the most useful thing to me because I'm a lousy businessman. There was this hot chick at school, so I kind of, I asked her out. And I'd just bought Ziggy Stardust. It was 1972. And I was really excited and this and that and everything. So the first time I went to take her out was a Saturday night. And I went round to her house. And in those days, their mother used to kind of throw you in the lounge, living room, while she was upstairs getting made up and everything. And like the nerd that I was, I would rifle through a record collection. So I'm taking this girl out for the first night. I'm 18. And I pull out Hunky Dory, which is kind of the album before Ziggy Stardust. And I thought, oh my God, I'm taking this girl out and she's got the album prior to this. So naturally I married her and had 2 kids with her. What else would you do,
So, but yeah, I want to hear though more about, like David Bowie and stuff. Tell me what he meant. That one? Yeah. Oh no, I know you got plenty of stories too, so let's hear them. So
I didn't even move my head.
Jamie's like, enough about Tony, more about Bowie.
Because I want to focus on like the artists, that you've worked with, and we've lost this year.
The thing with Bowie is, as a kind of teenager, it's kind of like I said, it's the story of my life because I grew up listening to his records, and then 25 years later, I'm kind of working with him in a situation like this where you're sitting around talking and this and that. And when I went to see the Spiders from Mars split up on stage in front of me, I was devastated because I was kind of a real music fan. I was thinking, where's my next David Bowie record going to come from? How can you do this? How can you break the Spiders from Mars up? And I was really annoyed with him. And then 25 years later, when you are working with him, you start to understand why he's the most innovative artist of our time because he's constantly reinventing himself. This is a guy that through generations, he's almost like a soap star in as much as all of us in this room, David Bowie's always been around. And now he's not. And I remember vividly, I wrote a blog the morning Bowie died because I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, I turned the TV on and CNN was on. And it was the first thing that was on. And I just burst into tears in bed. Mm-hmm. And I got up and I went to make a cup of coffee and I was bumping into things. And I was like this zombie, not through tiredness, just through like, I can't believe this. So then I go on my phone and because with the time difference in England, there's all these text messages and all these emails. And then I've got an email from the Tampa Bay Times at like 6:45 in the morning, can we talk to you about Bowie? And then Bay News 9 kind of wanted to send a crew round and stuff and things like this. And it got to the stage where I wrote this blog at 6 o'clock, almost for kind of therapeutical reasons, saying, I can't believe that this has happened. People like Bowie, they can't die. This was a guy who invented an alien pop star and became it. And now all of a sudden he's dead. You can't die, And then I had to contact these people and say, listen, I know you've got like deadlines to meet and everything like this, but can I please have some time to grieve? Because I was totally freaked out. And then the following morning, at 3:45 in the morning, I got a phone call from a UK radio station to do a live interview. And it's like, do you know what time it is? And you've got to these people, obviously they have shows to do and they're entertainment shows and stuff, and it's a big news item. But it was kind of like probably the weirdest.
Now, what was your role with David Bowie? How did you work with him? Were you a manager? Would you work with him on stage? What was your role with David Bowie?
My role with David Bowie in the early years was I promoted his records for like 10 years, but David Bowie didn't do anything really. When I say he didn't do anything, of course he did things, but he wasn't David Bowie because he was on, no disrespect, on every radio and TV show. He did selective things and stuff. So my job I was on the road with him in 1996, and I did his Earthling tour. And it was strange because I got a phone call from the publicity company in London. And like I said, I'd been promoting his records and mailing them out and everything. And they said, listen, we can't do the Bowie tour. Can you do it? And there was this pause and I went, yeah. So they said, listen, David likes to meet everybody he works with. So can you come to the Manchester show tomorrow? I said, yeah, sure. So I went down and I met him backstage and he was great, courteous and this and that. And then I got the kind of the flag, to say, yeah, go with it. And then she phones me up and says, listen, you need to be in Liverpool tonight. There's all these things. I'll give you the number of the tour manager. This is what's on the list for him to do, blah, 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 this and that and everything. And just get on the road and do it. And then we can talk about money. So I said, you want me to go on the road with David Bowie? And she said, yeah. I said, and you're going to pay me? I mean, it's like the strange thing about like Bowie was, like I said, I'd been growing up listening to his records, so I was like this huge fan. And I remember the first time I went and saw him like playing, but I was on the other side. I just went up to him, and I'm not a starstruck person. I've worked with a lot of major artists. I went up to him and I just shook his hand and said, "It's a real honour to have the opportunity to work with you, David." And he was really humble and gracious, and that's what's made him amazing. But the thing about Bowie was kind of one of the things I had to do was I had to issue all the press passes to the media and stuff. And one of the things I had to do was go in the orchestra pit every night and throw like the photographers out after the first three numbers. They weren't allowed to photograph the first three numbers. Then it was like, shoot. And
you're the guy that makes my job easier when I'm filming these bands. And I have to honestly thank you because those guys do nothing but step on my cable constantly.
The photographers. Hey, listen, let me tell you, back in the day, Josh, they used to go on the stage and then all the great rock photographs are all the old ones because photographers were allowed to move around the stage in the early days in the 70s and 80s and stuff and take photos of artists from different positions and get some classic rock poses, not like orchestrated ones. But like I say, I was in the orchestra pit surrounded by photographers, and every night David Bowie would walk on stage with a white linen shirt on, white trousers, no shoes, an acoustic guitar, looking like David Bowie with a white light on him, and play a song from either Ziggy Stardust or Hunky Dory.
Wow.
Right. And I swear to God, it was one of the most amazing experiences in my life because every day I was just like that. He was like where Stella is there, and I was like, just totally blown
the view
away.
of starstruckness.
I mean, it's almost
for
like
people
somebody,
like that.
it's like somebody coming in your lounge and a private showing. It's just unbelievable.
What was it about him that you may had a perception of him that was not true or surprised you most about him when you met him? Was it his humbleness? Was it his musicianship? I mean, what was it?
The thing about Bowie is he's probably one of the most amazing human beings that I've ever met in my life. I'm not saying this because he's David Bowie and because he's passed. I mean, like I say, part of the reason I want to talk about people like David
they've been
Bowie,
saying that about the guy before he passed away, too.
Oh, yeah. But if you think about it, David Bowie wasn't just like a rock star or a pop star or anything like that. he kind of changed so much in fashion, in music, in film. I mean, all the kids that were struggling with their sexuality in the 70s and stuff, the fact that he didn't announce if he was gay or bi or straight just got people more curious and stuff. And you couldn't even talk about it in those days and stuff. Now, of course, it's totally different.
Yeah, I remember in the 80s, he was kind of like, a bit of a joking board around that type of stuff, because I came of age in the 80s and stuff, and I didn't know him in the 70s and 60s. And when did he launch? When was his first album?
The strange thing about it was David Bowie had been around for 10 years. And even when he went out as Ziggy Stardust, the beauty of that was they created this myth about this alien rock star that didn't really exist. And then he became it. So the thing is that what I like about the music business is the hype when it works. When you build something up to a fever pitch level and then you bring it out, it has to be as good as you make it.
Because I remember my perception of him as a kid in the 80s, as it was sold to me by the media, and as I, matured and could see who he really was, it wasn't who they perceived him to be in the 80s and stuff. So,
but he was amazing. The thing about Bowie was, if you go before that to the 70s and Ziggy Stardust, he became that alien rock star to the extent of, like, he became a heroin addict, and he was a total kind of freak. I mean, there's footage of him being in the back of a limo, and he's kind of like this. But the incredible thing about the guy, I mean, David Bowie has a history of mental illness in his family. His brother committed suicide, one of his aunts. There's about 3 or 4 cases of tragedy. And I think part of who he was he was constantly fighting what could have happened to him and stuff, because his childhood was kind of weird. But at the same time, if you read about the stuff that he's written over the past, it's like he was convinced he was going to be a millionaire and make a movie by the time he was 30. And of course he did.
The Labyrinth, right?
Absolutely.
I remember the Labyrinth.
I was about to say that legends never die, and I still believe the Goblin King's trying to snatch all the babies up in the entire.
That was a good movie. That was actually one of my favorite movies as a kid.
You
in the
remind
80s.
me of the Babe. What Babe? The Babe with the power. What power? The power of voodoo. Hoodoo.
It taught me a good lesson early in life. You have no power over me. Yeah. When she finally realizes that David Bowie, who plays the Goblin, was he the Goblin King or what?
The Goblin King, yeah.
That she has no power over her, and it just sets her free. So let me take a break. Currently talking to Tony Michaelidas. He is a music industry insider, author, and speaker, and you can learn more about him over at TonyMichaelidas.com. You're listening to That Business Show. Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. In an age when the good and the better vie for attention, it is the best that stands out. The best of Tampa Bay from Proudly Florida is the love story for the city of Tampa, celebrating success, sharing achievements, a tribute to enterprise and community spirit. Let Proudly Florida showcase your business to your city, your nation, and the world. For more information, email info@proudlyflorida.com and be sure to visit proudlyflorida.com.
How many times have you said to yourself, I wish there was an app for that? Stop wishing and start making the world better. Turn your brilliant idea into a profitable business by using Popcorn apps. Their affordable app design will help get your blue sky idea or proven business to the next level at a fraction of the cost of other developers. They will help you get through all the steps needed to make your thoughts become live. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn, or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
Teresa Turner is a certified public accountant and the founder of Tax Happens, a boutique-style CPA firm providing small businesses and individuals with hands-on, personalized tax and accounting services. Although we would love to tell you how happy their clients are, we would like you to see for yourself. Tax Happens has 21 Google reviews and a 4.8-star Google rating, 17 Yelp reviews and a 5-star Yelp rating, 38 Facebook reviews and a 4.9-star Facebook rating. What sets Tax Happens apart is number 1, upfront pricing, 2, clear deadlines, 3, personally available year-round, and number 4, a willingness to empower clients to do as much or as little as they desire. Visit taxhappens.com for more information.
Savvy business owners utilize technology to connect with customers, communicate among teams, and collaborate with partners. Even with advances in technology, you all know it's not infallible. Where do you turn when your technology starts working against you? Who do you depend on to keep your team productive? Don't wait until your technology fails you. Get ahead of the crisis and contact the professionals at Alpha Computing Solutions so they can show you how to keep your technology running smoothly. Visit them online at www.alphacomputing.com.
Who doesn't have a smartphone these days? And of course, there's an app for everything. Well, almost everything. That's why the folks at Popcorn Apps started developing mobile applications. They saw people like you with genius ideas unable to make those thoughts a reality. They develop applications for tens of thousands of dollars less than you'll find anywhere else and will turn your idea into a reality in a matter of just a few months. Think you're not ready? Think again. They are your one-stop shop for mobile application development. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn. Or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Maloney of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
From the RP Funding Traffic Network.
Ash in Pinellas County on Almerton near 40th Street. That, of course, just east of that intersection with Roosevelt. Slow traffic on the interstates, westbound I-4 approaching 275, southbound 275 in the area of Bush Boulevard, and a crash being cleared on northbound US 41 at Gulf City Road. That's south of College Avenue in Ruskin. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and New York. Hillsborough traffic tip line 866-545-9595.
By Boys and Girls Club of America.
It's 3 p.m. School's out for America's kids. And when school's out, clubs are in. It's time to support the Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit greatfutures.org.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
And we're back to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Currently talking to Tony Michaelidas. He is a music industry insider, author, and speaker. Learn more about him over at TonyMichaelidas.com. So, Tony, you've also worked with the likes of U2. Tell us about your experience with them and Bono.
Well, I worked with U2 right from the real beginning, because the great thing about that was I was learning my trade as they were learning theirs. So I have, in fact, I just posted a photograph on my Facebook page yesterday, because it was 31st of July 1983, I think. The police was U2 was supporting the police at a place called Gateshead in Manchester. And
that's so crazy. U2 supporting the police.
Yeah.
On what planet did that happen on, man?
That was in England, the planet England.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of I'd left Ireland at the time, but it was U2 that kind of enticed me back, because a friend of mine sent me a cassette of them to listen to, and they kind of they intrigued me. So I went with a friend of mine who was the local DJ at the time, who was staying at my place, and we went to see them, and they were like third on the bill. This was 1980, and they just signed to Island Records, and they were raw and rough and ready, and you know, kind of, but they had a lot of belief and everything. They were excited to meet somebody from the record industry and then somebody from, you know, the radio station and stuff. But in the early days, I used to haul them round into every radio station to do like interviews that went out at like midnight on a Tuesday and stuff, just to get them some exposure. And I got them in the first radio play and their first television anywhere outside of
that is a big
their
deal.
home country, Ireland. Yeah, it's funny. I worked with a load of bands you've never heard of, but of course not very good to talk about. But the thing is with U2 was I knew they'd kind of do well, but I had no idea they'd do quite this well. But the interesting thing about U2 is I talk about people like U2 and Springsteen in the corporate world, in as much as, because if you look at an artist like Bruce Springsteen, who's been true to his word right from day one for 40 years, and a band like U2, who are also kind of, you know, late 50s, and they've been around, like, you only think of the heritage bands like the Pink Floyds and the Zeppelins and stuff as being around forever, but U2 have been around since kind of, you know, the early 80s and stuff. And it's the same band, and it's the same label and the same... well, it's not the same manager now. They have Madonna's manager. Their manager's retired. And Springsteen has the same band for 40 years, except for the two that have passed away. So it's a great lesson to corporate America on how to keep your staff. I mean, Bruce is the boss, and these are kind of the workers, but clearly looks after them. And you spend considerably more time in a band working day in, day out. I mean, it's worth them being married, It's kind of like at least people got to work and do their thing.
And a story that didn't catch a lot of steam, but we almost lost Bono this past year. He was at the attacks in France that happened a couple of weeks ago. He had to be rescued by the police over there, so we almost lost Bono.
Well, I only heard
year.
about that last week, actually.
It's not really like we almost lost him. It was just having dinner.
Well, he had to be rescued, though. He had to be rescued, though, from the event.
But the previous bombings in Paris, U2 were due to play that night.
Really?
So it's kind of like if I was Bono, I'd find another country to go to.
No.
Yeah, we don't want to lose Bono. It's been a rough enough year.
What are you talking about? You couldn't wait to get out.
So you also worked with the likes of Genesis as well, Phil Collins.
Yeah, I've got a great photograph of me and Phil Collins in the 80s, both losing our hair at the same time, both with beards. And there's Mike Rutherford in the middle and me and Phil Collins. It's kind of separated at birth photo. Phil was great. I mean, he kind of... the thing about... On a serious note, the thing about rock stars is, and you talk about people like Bowie, and I never worked with Prince and stuff, and people like Springsteen and U2 in the early days and Sting and people like that, is the biggest artists are the easiest to work with because they realise that it's not all about them. It's about a team of people around them. So you'll never get these people that are kind of wasted and don't turn up for interviews and go, and all this and everything. Mm-hmm. The whole sex, drugs and rock and roll is kind of a bit passé. They're real professionals. And the amazing thing about people like Bowie is that the consistency and the sense of humour and the graciousness and the humility. I mean, when I was working with Bowie, one of the things that I did on the way to one of his shows was I popped into a local record store a friend of mine ran, and I said, listen, I'm doing this Bowie tour, and it's drum and bass, and I know nothing about drum and bass. Can you sort me out some CDs? So he went to his young kind of shop assistant, he went out in the racks and pulled 7 or 8 CDs out. So I took them and I went to the show, and as Bowie was coming off the bus, I went up to him and said, listen, you're probably sick of all this lot. I brought you some stuff to listen to, if you get some chance. And he said, oh, thank you so much. And as he was going on stage that night, he came towards me and he gave me this big hug and he said, thank you so much, Tony. I've listened to a couple of them. They're really good, and this and that. You got to think, this is a guy who could walk into any record store in the world and walk up to the counter with a pile of CDs and bring out his credit card to pay for them, and people say, no, you're David Bowie, take them. And the graciousness of the guy. Mm-hmm. And he was just, he looks like, if you look at like rock music forever, people don't look better than Elvis Presley and David Bowie. But this was a guy that there was so much charisma about him that he'd walk in a room, and irrespective of what he looked like, he was the centre of attention. But he was just a really amazing person. And it's the same with, bands like U2 in the early days. I'd stopped working with them around the Joshua Tree because there's nothing really to do. So I went off and did my thing, and they continued to dominate the world. But I like working with bands like...
Any major bands currently on tour today that you're working with or in the news today?
No, I'm their grandparent now.
He's like, I had to think about that one.
They'll be wheeling me out with them,
Well, you got a long list of them here going all back to David Bowie and through U2, REM, Genesis. I see you worked a little bit with Dave Matthews. I saw him this past week over at the amphitheater, and so they're always good to see him. Second time I've seen him.
I worked with Dave Matthews, Matchbox 20, and Sarah McLachlan, who are obviously huge in America, but they didn't really do anything in England. So working with them was kind of just getting them radio interviews, but they weren't kind of on daytime radio or anything.
Well, a good discussion here with Tony Michaelidas, a music industry insider, author, and speaker. So, Tony, we thank you for coming in studio this morning, and good stories. Wish I had some more time with you, but I know you got a lot of them. So, thanks again.
Thank you, Jimmy.
And again, learn more about him over at TonyMichaelidas.com. Coming back for a break, we're going to be talking about events with Crystal Kochman-Giardina. She is the founder and CEO of CKG Events. In the meantime, learn more about this program over at TampaBayRadio.com. You're listening to That Business Show. Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
I feel guilty that I can't always be there when Mom feels stuck at home. She was always there for us. But now she can't get out, and I'm not always available to take her places. Someone else needs to help her get around. Then I learned about Home Instead. Now Mom can do what she enjoys because her personal caregiver is there, and I can just be a daughter again.
Are you struggling to care for your loved one? We can help. Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
You never should have hired him. Friday at 4:30, you had to fire him. You can't risk waiting to rekey the locks. You'll relax this weekend. You call Papa Lock.
Call the locksmiths at Papa Lock. We're the experts in business security.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
And welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. And also we run the video stream over at TampaBayRadio.com. Also, please connect with us on all the different social media sites, Facebook.com/That Business Show. And also follow us on Twitter, Jamie_Maloney. My next guest for the program is Crystal Kochman-Giardina, founder and CEO of CKG Events. And you can learn more about her throughout the discussion over at ckgassociates.com. So, Crystal, welcome to the program today.
Hi, thank you, Jamie. Good morning.
So, first off, just tell us, what is CKG Events, and tell us about what you do.
Yes, so CKG is an event management company and marketing firm. And we plan a variety of events, and it can be anything from just day of management, partial planning, or full service. So we offer a variety of different areas where some people might not need the whole event taken care of. So we can kind of be as hands-on or as hands-off as someone may need us.
So how long have you been in the the event business? When did you start this?
Yes, so I've been doing marketing and events for over 5 years now, but officially on my own for over a year and a couple months now.
So you worked for an event or some type of marketing company, then you went on the entrepreneurial path about a year and a half ago. What was that? What was that moment of inspiration? What caused you to go out on your own?
Wow. Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I think I just always knew it would be a matter of time that I would start my own business. It just probably happened sooner than later. But with my background in marketing, I've kind of had my hands in a lot of different things like creative design and new business development, and with that, there was always an events component, and that was always my favorite. So with that, I loved doing events. I knew that was my niche, and that eventually that would be what I would want to do.
Mm-hmm. I thought for sure she was going to say, when I realized my boss was an idiot and wouldn't stop asking me to come in on Saturday.
That's why many of us go down the entrepreneurial path, correct?
I can do it better.
So you founded CKG Events. Now, is it a general events planning company? Do you do any type of events? Do you have a niche event that you like to do?
Yeah, good question. So we plan a variety of events. So we do weddings. That's not the bulk of what we do, but we do birthday parties. We do corporate events, Christmas parties, fundraisers, really any type of an event that needs.
Now, I noticed that you're still doing weddings. I've noticed that I've talked to probably about 4 or 5 event planners through the years, and it's just like they eventually either weed out weddings or they go to weddings entirely as that's their niche. I mean, you're still. What's your experience with weddings?
And do you also fight dragons in your spare time too?
Why, did you find a character that looks like some dragon fighter up there? Is that what that is?
No, because Bridezilla.
Oh, Bridezilla. Okay, I was trying to figure out where that reference came from. Go ahead.
Yes, I've actually been very fortunate not to have to deal with a Bridezilla, but I guess that's why you have an event planner too, to be able to help keep her calm and kind of make sure they're enjoying the process. So But to answer your question, Jamie, we were more corporate focused. So I think because my background in marketing, I've just had more of a niche with that. And so that's where we enjoy.
What were you doing in the company before you started your own? What type of marketing events were you doing, or what type of marketing, I should say, were you doing for what type of companies?
They were corporate events. Yeah. So we do Christmas parties. We've done networking, seminars, speaking engagements, grand openings. So. Yeah.
So who is your ideal client, and what is your typical size event that you work on?
Mm-hmm. So really, we've had events where it's been a birthday party of 20 people at an intimate home setting, or it's been a St. Pete food and wine festival with thousands of people. So it's kind of a big range of what we can do.
At what age do people quit doing the birthday parties for the kids? Have you done anything? What's the oldest birthday party you've thrown for a kid here?
Be easy now. Don't kill my dreams.
I won't kill your dreams. Actually, I have a 60th birthday celebration coming up next Sunday. So
so people, yeah. So they hire event planners for 60th birthday parties, and I figured they would just hire an event planner for like the children and stuff, and get like the clowns there and everything, and make it all an event. So typically with us older people, we just, hey, you want to go to the bar later? It's my birthday. You buying? Okay, all right, then that's my birthday party.
I don't know. Is Famke Janssen coming?
There's your celebrity look like right there.
Famke Janssen.
That's a new feature on the program. You got to watch the live video stream to see it if you don't know who they are. But right there, who is that?
Famke Janssen is the actress that played Jean Grey in the X-Men movies.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's your celebrity.
Well, she's beautiful, so thank you for that. I'll take that as a compliment.
So, Crystal, how does it work when someone wants to use your services? They come to you, and then at that point, what's the process?
Yeah, sure. So you can send me an email, you can call me, and typically I love having initial consultation. That way I can just hear a little bit more about what they want, what their vision is, or sometimes they don't know a whole lot and they're just like, how do I do this? So help me. And so that way we can brainstorm together and I can share advice and kind of give them tips, and then we walk away with a plan.
How do you price out an event? Because I do events from time to time. Do you just work off of when you're just giving your bids, do you work off kind of like a flat hourly rate for yourself, and then you price in the other things that they're asking for? How do you price events?
Right. So there is an hourly rate, if you will, but we package all of our events, and we realize that, budget is very important, and it all depends on what the purpose of the event is as well, and what you want to invest in it. So with that, we customize all of our packages. So no event is really ever the same.
Is it extra to get a bouncy house? Or a ball?
Well, yes. So we don't provide a bounce house service. However, we can help coordinate to get the bounce house there.
So what areas in the Tampa Bay region do you cover? Do you cover all the counties in the Bay Area? Do you focus on one area or city?
No, I say Tampa Bay area because I'm actually from Seminole, Florida originally, so across the bridge. I'm in Tampa now, but we'll do St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, so we kind of cover the area. Although we have flown to Colorado for a wedding, so with that, I guess we'll really go anywhere. It just depends on what we're doing.
What are your relationships like with some of the event rooms around Tampa Bay and stuff? I know I'm a business partner there with Tampa Bay Business Owners, and we do a number of different events. We have one coming up October 28th there, and it's always been at the a la carte pavilion, and it unfortunately is in the middle of a business transaction, although it just fell out last week for people following that transaction. But we're having some problems trying to find good event rooms. We use T. Pepin, but for the Business Symposium, which is our next event, we're looking for something more with a large room, center, room, but then with some kind of smaller breakout rooms. But the key to everything is good parking. You can't find, because we get 400 or 500 people at the events. Parking is always a concern. Something a lot of people overlook when they're not experienced event planners.
Right. I would say location is not something you guys say too as realtors. Location. But absolutely, it's very important to know your venues and know the capacity, know the ideal locations. And again, it's all about what your event is looking for. So if you need a diverse separate rooms where, depending on the flow of that event, but it's really important to know the different types of venues in the area. And we have typically good relationships with them.
What would you recommend for like an event that has like 400 or 500 people? T. Pepin comes to mind. We just did Christmas in July there.
Sure.
But is there any other good venue? I mean, the convention center, people will say, go to the convention center, but parking is a challenge down there. Obviously, it's downtown. Do any event rooms come to mind that you can think of right now? Any hotels or locations or anything?
There's a lot of hotels in Tampa, I feel like. And usually it's around 250 plus for a lot of the hotels. I would say the Tampa Convention Center is good, but you already know about that one. But I think so indoor, though, is what you're looking for.
Indoor with ample parking, and this is, just good for, any of the organizations out there. It's just, a la carte was such a good location, and with it.
I like cart is by Memorial and
that was over there.
Yep,
off of Hillsborough, over there, yes, or near Hillsborough, I should say. So, but any others come to mind or anything that you can think of? So people out there, we need event rooms.
We need event rooms, yes. I will send you a follow-up email, Jamie, and make sure that the capacity
one of our TBBO sponsors, Rochelle Walker, the Walk Law Firm, she's on the board of the new Jewish Community Center that's being built down there in Howard. That's going to have a tremendous space, and that's going to be opened up, I think, here by the end of the year. So the Jewish Community Center is going to, she was telling me all the different features and things that are going to be inside that. Looking forward to that. So keep that one on your your short list. That's going to be an amazing place to do a lot of different things. So that's down there on Howard, right by our office, as a matter of fact. So Stella, so tell me, what is unique about CKG that separates you from other event planners?
I would say our creativity. We've heard a lot, our attention to detail, but more importantly, our strategy. So what I mean by creativity is we always try to look for that. We want to create a wow, and we don't want any event, every event's different. So with that, we do a lot of personal creative touches, things that are just different that you don't expect at events.
So give us an example. Yeah, okay.
Sure,
putting Batman on my birthday cake?
Hey. If that's something you like, we would love to do that. But so we've done custom photo booths before that are really important. It gives for a corporate event, let's just say, it gives your company brand recognition while people are taking photos, and then it's just fun. People want to get in a photo booth and be silly, and it kind of is an icebreaker. It warms people up.
We had a Christmas in July photo booth there at our Christmas in July, where you got into the different costumes and stuff, and then made funny photos and everything.
Sure. So, but then was it branded?
Was it branded?
I don't remember.
Because that's what she does.
I don't remember.
She would think about that, yeah.
Look how much money you could have made with Drunk Santa.
Yeah, there you go. So photo booths, what else do you offer?
Photo booths, we do a lot of custom signage. And I would say that there's a comfort in knowing when you're at an event what's going on and what you're eating. And, there's food allergies and all kinds of stuff these days. But don't assume people know what things are or where to go or what's happening that day.
True, actually.
So when you put it in signage, it's definitely a good visual for people to know, okay, well, where are the restrooms or what food am I eating?
One of the things I know when I go to those big events in those big rooms that you're looking for is that you're often looking for your way, and it's kind of you're having a great experience, but that's kind of destabilizing, and you need to find the right person to talk to. So I can see that's a great
your life
idea.
as an event planner has to be one big ball of stress, especially on the day of the event, because there's always something you forget to do, and if you don't do it right, things go awry. I mean, what's it like just personally in the event planning business?
I love it. I say bring it on. I'm all about something a weird way. I love troubleshooting, and so there is a joy that comes to me knowing that my client has peace of mind because they don't have to worry about all those details. And I like to say they get to show up that day and be the celebrity, because you don't want to have to worry about, okay, is my presentation going to work? Or you have to give a speech, or more importantly, you want to mingle with guests and spend quality time with them, and not worrying about taking photos or did this happen, or is something not on time, we're sticking to an agenda. So anyway, we handle all that so that you can show up and enjoy.
What's been your most favorite event that you've put on through the years? Is there anyone that comes to mind? Any big bachelor party or bachelor or bridal shower or anything that you got involved in that just kind of went crazy, or anything? Anything went viral in your business?
Anything went viral? Not viral yet. That might be a goal.
That's because Jamie hasn't hired you for a toga party yet.
Maybe back in my college days, some of the things would have went viral, but unfortunately, we didn't have social media, and the internet was not as prevalent as it is today back then. So, but go ahead. Any events that come to mind?
That's a hard one. I would say, because all of our events are different and they're all special in certain ways. I will say we did a very fun red carpet style event for a good friend of mine, Jody Avery. She's actually a local realtor in the area.
Yeah, she's done the program too. Yes,
yep.
She does
on the show.
She does a marketing or a book.
Yes, her A-list.
Yes, her A-list. Yes,
then
a lot of service providers in the area. Yes, so we talked about that last time she was on.
Yep, and that actually was what the event was for. It was to kind of showcase her A-list and get everyone together. And because they're her A-list, we did a red carpet style event, so everyone was VIP. We had a big grand entrance with red drapes. Everyone got a unique star, like in Hollywood, so they had to go find their star, take their foot photo near it like you were in Hollywood, and they got to take it away. So that was a fun wow that they could, hang in their office if they wanted to. And it was made out of wood, and it was custom and painted, so it wasn't just paper that you throw away. But that was a fun one.
Have you ever worked with Castles for Rent? Have you even heard of that place?
Castles for Rent.
Yeah, it's this place on Hillsborough Avenue where you can rent a castle for an event like a wedding or like things that you do.
I think I heard about that. Now to say
pretty
that,
cool.
So you can rent a castle, like an actual castle.
But you obviously got to go
somewhere in the U.S.
Obviously, probably got to go overseas.
The nearest castle, you got to go over. No,
where's the nearest castle in our area?
Cardboard. Yeah, it's like cardboard.
That's what I was thinking.
I got you.
I gotta know about that place. If there's a castle I don't know about.
Currently talking. Let me take a break here. Currently talking to Crystal Kochman-Giardina, founder and CEO of CKG Events. You can learn more about her at ckgassociates.com. You're listening to That Business Show. Jamie Maloney, your business becomes show business.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
If you've been following That Business Show on Facebook and Twitter, you may have noticed the quality of some of our images. That's because one of our sponsors is pro photographer Rick Taseda, a member of the Professional Photographers of America. You can view his extensive work by going to his website at ricktaseda.com or call him for an appointment to chat about your photography needs at 813-641-4757. That's 813-641-4757. 4757. Rick Taseda Visuals. Call him for your next event or project. Teresa Turner is a certified public accountant and the founder of Tax Happens, a boutique-style CPA firm providing small businesses and individuals with hands-on, personalized tax and accounting services. Although we would love to tell you how happy their clients are, we would like you to see for yourself. Tax Happens has 21 Google reviews and a 4.8-star Google rating, 17 Yelp reviews and a 5-star Yelp rating, 38 Facebook reviews and a 4.9-star Facebook rating. What sets Tax Happens apart is number 1, upfront pricing, 2, clear deadlines, 3, personally available year-round, and number 4, a willingness to empower clients to do as much or as little as they desire. Visit taxhappens.com for more information. In an age when the good and the better vie for attention, it is the best that stands out. The Best of Tampa Bay from Proudly Florida is the love story for the city of Tampa, celebrating success, sharing achievements, a tribute to enterprise and community spirit. Let Proudly Florida showcase your business to your city, your nation, and the world. For more information, email info@proudlyflorida.com and be sure to visit proudlyflorida.com.
Savvy business owners utilize technology to connect with customers, communicate among teams, and collaborate with partners. Even with advances in technology, you all know it's not infallible. Where do you turn when your technology starts working against you? Who do you depend on to keep your team productive? Don't wait until your technology fails you. Get ahead of the crisis and contact the professionals at Alpha Computing Solutions so they can show you how to keep your technology running smoothly. Visit them online at www.alphacomputing.com.
Attention medical professionals. Have you heard that Tampa Bay will become the first certified wellness district in the country? Thanks to Jeff Fennick's revitalization of Channelside, the Dr. Whisperer wants to streamline your efforts and preparation. So when you're ready to ignite your practice, use the Dr. Whisperer's public relations expertise to spread the word. Use the Dr. Whisperer to motivate your staff. And use the Dr. Whisperer to recruit and secure leaders within your practice. Call the Dr. Whisperer today at 727-420-2481 or visit thedrwhisperer.com where they write your prescription for success.
Who doesn't have a smartphone these days? And of course, there's an app for everything. Well, almost everything. That's why the folks at Popcorn Apps started developing mobile applications. They saw people like you with genius ideas, unable to make those thoughts a reality. They develop applications for tens of thousands of dollars less than you'll find anywhere else, and will turn your idea into a reality in a matter of just a few months. Think you're not ready? Think again. They are your one-stop shop for mobile application development. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn, or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
Heavy traffic on westbound I-4 from the Plant City area over towards I-75. Also southbound I-75 from just south of Fowler to I-4. Crash off to the right-hand side just before I-4. And also southbound 275 between Bush Boulevard and Sly. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson Udor Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Unbound. When you sponsor through Unbound, you not only open the door to education for a young person, you empower a family to build a foundation of financial stability, empowerment, and respect. See your contribution grow into opportunity at unbound.org.
Today, partly sunny with a 20% rain chance, high 93. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 79. Tomorrow, a 30% chance of showers, high 92.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
And welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Talking to Crystal Kochman-Giardina, founder and CEO of CKG Events. Learn more, ckgassociates.com. So, Crystal, any event marketing, very important to the event. How do you offer marketing support?
Yes. So our marketing strategy is very, very important. So we help with some of those initial stages with the creative design and invitations. Email blasts are very important. We'll help track the RSVP. So we'll do email campaigns. We'll help build websites for them so that people can go to, let's say you send out an email blast, they click on a link to RSVP, they go to that landing page, they find out more about the information of the event, fun things that are happening. So we can do that as well. Press releases. So
do you have different levels of planning, like event planning, like maybe you have just a base event planning package and you have an upgrade to that? Tell me about kind of like how that works.
Yeah, so we can do something as simple as a consult where we meet, we brainstorm. We actually call it creative conversations over coffee. So I treat you to your favorite coffee or tea. We have some fun and you actually walk away with a plan. So that's a package. But then pre-planning packages, sometimes we don't even do day of at all. We just help with the pre-planning stages. So we'll do some of the marketing. I've done where we've just designed invitations before because they wanted help with the overall look and feel of the event, but then they wanted to handle the rest. So we've done that. And then, of course, day of, which I actually really stress the most just because it's like that's the big day and you don't want to have to worry about some of those things. So we help just kind of facilitate everything, make sure things are running smoothly and that everyone's having a good time.
Now, do you do the social media management for the event as well? Is that incorporated into the event planning?
Yes, it is actually. So it's very important, especially let's say for a fundraiser when you have sponsors and giving them marketing exposure, you want to know what's happening before the event. We're posting about the sponsors, we're posting about the fun incentives, things that are going to be happening. So trying to create that buzz and that momentum that are going to drive people to the event is very important.
So what are the benefits to hiring an event planner? A lot of people are probably saying, I can do this myself. For people that have never planned an event, why do they need an event planner?
I get that a lot. And I would say, oh my goodness, we're all gifted in our own things. I'm not probably going to lead a radio show like you, Jamie, and on a day-to-day, but benefits to an event planner, definitely time. It saves you a lot of time. That way you're working on your business and let the expert manage some of those details for you. So you're not shopping around. We typically know a venue in mind or a caterer that's going to meet your budget depending on what you need. So that's very important. We have our go-to people that we know.
And I would say that planning events is maybe like, as a real estate agent, I would say when people move out of their place and move in, they are always, and I would do that too, underestimate the time it's going to take you.
Yes.
And with planning an event and organizing an event, like you have the feeling it's not going to take you that long, and then you get into the project and it takes over your life.
Yeah.
And I know about that.
You know about that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Which I haven't organized events for quite a while now because I was just like, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, Stella kind of got into a little tangent there with events. She was doing more events than she was doing real estate there lately. Doing anything on the horizon for you right now? Any events you want to talk about?
No events. Just work.
Yeah, Stella was kind of getting in the event planning business there for a while with her own.
It's just
events.
it's so interesting, and you really create an experience for people. It's so rewarding when it's actually happening. planning. So it can be a passion, and it's great to see that that's what you've been able to do with your life. You know, you could still be working with this company, but you went ahead and took control over your passion, and it's such a life achievement when your career is your passion.
So when would you advise people start planning for an event? And let's say it's just a typical event, maybe 100 people at the event. How soon should somebody start planning for that?
So I always say the sooner the better, although we've done events in a short amount of time as well, but typically at least 4 to 6 months. That way you can try to book a date around the time that you want, it available, and you have an advantage of booking a venue, because a lot of times they book out in a year for certain events.
That is true. Yeah, you got to book those rooms early, because a lot of those things, like especially T Pepin Center, those things will be booked out a year in advance, and so you definitely got to get on that. So 4 to 6 months time frame.
Typically, yeah. I mean, hey, if we can get a year, I want a year to be working on things. But at least 4 to 6 months, I think, is a good average that will allow you enough time to.
What's
do
the largest
things.
event that you've worked on personally in terms of attendance? Have you been over like 1,000-person event before?
Yes. Well, actually, so I've helped with Donna Stone in the area. She is such an amazing, just health oriented. She has her book called The Healthy You Diet, and a book, and she did the St. Pete Food and Wine Festival.
I think she was on my program too. Yeah, I think
awesome.
I saw her briefly. Yes,
Donna Stone and her team, they're awesome. And anyway, they kicked off the St. Pete Food and Wine Festival last year, and that had over thousands of people. And we weren't involved in all of the pre-planning stages, but we helped execute the day of. And managed a lot hands-on things the day of. So that was a case where there was thousands of people.
So how do you advise listeners to get in touch with you for event planning? How can people find out more about you and your business, basically?
Yes, absolutely. So you can go to our website at ckgassociates.com. You can find us on Facebook. We're on social media. We share a lot of tips on Facebook, Twitter, and you can also email us at info@ckgassociates.com.
Okay. And any specials going on with CKG a listener can take advantage of today?
Sure. Actually, yes, I think I mentioned the coffee and conversations. We're doing that right now, where it's a special where, as I kind of mentioned, we meet over coffee and we talk about your event coming up and kind of give you your action plan and next steps. And that's only $150 right now. So we meet for about an hour and a half over coffee, our treat, have some fun, and that's something that we're offering. So.
All right. A good discussion from an event planner here in Tampa Bay. So if you need help planning your next event, reach out to Crystal Kochman-Giardina. So Crystal, thank you so much for being in studio this morning.
Thanks for having me, Jamie. Thanks.
And again, she is the founder and CEO of CKG Events. Learn more at ckgassociates.com, or send her an email if you're needing help with your next event, info@ckgassociates.com. Also, thank you to my guests in the 7 o'clock hour, Tony Michaelidas, he's music industry insider, author, and speaker, and a wealth of information on musical bands throughout the last couple of decades. Great stories from Tony on YouTube, as well as David Bowie, and I'm probably going to talk with him for a few hours. He's got a lot of great ones. Learn more about him over at TonyMichaelidas.com. Coming back from the break, we'll be talking with Melissa Trinidad and Bridget Donovan. They are with Holy Fit TV, and it's on-demand training talk when we come back from the break. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
The preceding was a commercial program paid for by Maloney Productions. The opinions, viewpoints,